Hello. I'd like to respond to a comment that was on a video I did quite some time ago. In the video, I was talking about the essence of fear being the opposite of love or the opposite of God. And the comment reads, sometimes people tend to experience drastic changes in different aspects of their life because of the ongoing pursuit of happiness. What would you say the key is? Do you believe there's a more spiritual side to happiness, or is it something very simple? So I gave some thought to this, and I kind of have a longer answer, but I'll answer the question in a succinct form at the end. Happiness is an elusive kind of thing in some ways, in that the recipe to my happiness will be different from yours. But I think there are some fundamental commonalities that I'd like to point out. The first is that happiness is not a risk-reward, a work-reward system. You should not treat happiness in your life like you would reward a dog with a treat for doing a trick or a task. Similarly, you should not expect happiness to come as a result of your hard work. You should be thinking in a line like, once I accomplish this, I'll be happy. Or once I get to this point in my life or this point in my career, I'll be happy. Happiness is part of the journey. There should be happiness in everything that you experience along the way, and that the satisfaction that you feel on accomplishing something should give you happiness, and as well as the struggle and triumphs that you feel or that you experience along the way, and the support that you receive from those that are close to you. The second aspect that will be common among all of us is that happiness is not something that should be easily taken away from you. You shouldn't find yourself in a position where you're saying, I used to be happy before this happened to me, or I would be happy if it weren't for that. I would be happy if it weren't for so-and-so saying this or doing this in my life. If you find yourself in that position where your happiness has been robbed of you, in a way you've given up your happiness. It's not that it was taken away, but that it was gone briefly and you haven't allowed yourself to move to a new space where the happiness will return. If you are in that place and you find yourself thinking along those lines, where I would be happy if, try to observe what the fundamental issue at play there is, and think about changing your circumstances or changing your expectations or addressing the problem directly. If it's a person in your life that will always be in your life because they're a family member, try to deal with the root problem. It might be uncomfortable, it might be painful, but either you can come to a resolution, or you can find that there won't be an easy resolution, but you can be at peace with the fact that you did your part. And you can, when you find that peace, then you can find space for happiness again. The last thing is that there are times in our life where we aren't going to be experiencing happiness as the predominant part of our journey. And that's okay. That's part of life. And especially in moments of tragedy and loss and grief, it is hard to be happy, and it is hard to find happiness again. There will be long periods at times where it will seem like happiness just won't return. But it will. It does return. And the thing to remember as you look down the path of your life and you know that sadness will one day return, remember that happiness will also one day return, and that there's a place for sadness. There's a place for the feelings that displace happiness in our life, because when you recognize them and you engage them, you will find that the things that heal you from those feelings of sadness or rage or distress are the people that love you, the things that bring you joy, and the life that you want to cultivate for yourself that allows happiness to flourish. So, in short, to answer the question, I do think that there is a spiritual component to happiness. There is a spiritual component to everything. Now, that's a non-answer, I know. The spiritual component to happiness is the recognition that it isn't something that can be taken from you, just as your faith is not something that can be taken from you. And similarly, you can have confidence, have faith that happiness is always around the corner, it's always waiting for you. But it's not something that's going to be rewarded to you. It's something that is waiting for you to come to it. You need to reach out and grasp happiness. You need to go to where happiness is. So why wait?